Hello and welcome to the second lecture on ragging. In this lecture, we will be discussing why someone rags. What is the reason that people will rag, even if they find it very inhuman? When they were ragged, they felt it very bad. Many of them could not sustain the pressure. Many of them got their hands and legs broken. Many of them planned to commit suicide, but okay, they could not commit suicide or something like that, and they survived. But then they do the same to the others. So there must be a reason that people used to rag, or people still rag, because even if we say that ragging has been completely banned in educational institutions, but still you will find cases of ragging coming up. When the new session starts, you will always find some news on the newspapers, or even on TV channels sometimes, that there were instances of or cases of ragging reported here and there. So why a person rags? This is something which is very important. Let us start with the first point. The first point, why people rag, they call it culture. That it is a part of the culture. Every educational institution is having a culture of its own. So they say that ragging is a part of culture. If you need to understand the culture of an educational institution, you need to get ragged, because without that you will not understand. Moreover, it's a way of growing up, right? Because ragging used to take place usually in higher educational institutions, right? Like in colleges for your undergrads, basically for your undergrads. So people will always give this reason that when you were in school, you were a kid, you do not know many things, but when you come to the college, so it's a way of growing. So they also call it like it is a way of transformation. So the transformation from kidhood to adulthood, something like that, they used to also give reason. So it's a part of culture, and it is required for transformation of an individual. This is something which they will say. In fact, many are students who have been ragged and have been ragged very badly, become also the worst raggers, right? And even if they felt the pain in their first years, but they will say that, look, this was very important, now I have transformed, now I can rag somebody, I can speak better, and so on. So all these things they used to think. So they say that ragging is a part of culture, and it is required for transformation of an individual from, say, kid to adulthood. So that is the understanding. Then ragging also gives a sense of authority, right? So this is another reason that the senior students will like to rag their junior students, because if they will not stamp their authority on their juniors, then the juniors will not listen to them, or they will not do their work. Because as you might be knowing that seniors get their work done by their juniors. All the assignments are made by their juniors. All these menial works are done by the juniors. Whether you need a glass of water, or whether you need to fill the form and this and that, all these things will be done by the juniors. So the seniors has to stamp their authority, or else the juniors will not listen to them. And moreover, it's also a matter of respect, because if the junior is not respecting you, then it is also a big problem, right? It also used to be the reason of fist fight. If a junior has not properly respected a senior, then also they used to be beaten. And there was, as I told you in the last lecture, that there was dress code. So there is also something like a wish which you need to pass every time you meet your senior. So even if you meet your senior 10 times in the morning session, you have to wish him good morning. And there used to be some salams and some certain ways in which you need to wish your seniors. You also have to stand third button, if you understand what is third button. So if I'm wearing a shirt, so this is my first button, this is second button, this is the third button, right? So I have to look on the third button like this. So every time whenever you are standing in front of your senior, so you cannot see in each other's eye, right? The senior will talk to you with a lot of authority, and the junior has to stand in a very timid fashion like this. So that used to be the case, that you have to stand third button. So those things are authoritative, and that is something which was required by seniors to stand their authority, to have that feeling of being a senior. So they say that without that, uh, the culture of the university or of the college cannot be maintained as well. Then ragging is also a fashion statement. Now, why I say it as a fashion statement? Because ragging is something which was always in vogue. Even if vogue does not stay forever, but ragging stood forever till the time it was banned, and it got from bad to worse. And that used to be understood as a fashion statement, that if suppose somebody is not taking suppose there used to be always some senior students who will never rag their junior students, but then they used to be considered that you do not have a sense of fashion, or this is something which you are doing wrong, and so on. So it used to be a fashion statement. It used to be very much in vogue or in trend, that if you are taking ragging, then you are normal. If you are not taking ragging, then it's so abnormal by nature, and so on. So that used to be also considered or it used to be said like this is something which used to be a part of fashion statement. So people will always like to put their authority, and it used to always give them that feeling that yes, I'm trendy, I'm in fashion, and so on. So that used to be the case. Many students will not take ragging initially, but later they have to start ragging. They have to start. They will start ragging their juniors because of peer pressure. This is another thing which used to be the case, that because your classmates will put a lot of pressure on you, so you have to start ragging your juniors. So that also used to be the case. So what used to happen is that even if you are not ready to say rag somebody, or you do not feel like that this is a normal activity or a civilized activity, you feel it very inhuman, but because of peer pressure, because of friends, because of classmates, because of batchmates who will put a lot of pressure on you, they will start ragging their juniors. So that also used to take place, and it was also the reason that okay, maybe 5 or 10 students were miscreants, they wanted to take ragging of their juniors, but because of the peer pressure, because of also culture, it used to take place, or it used to happen that everybody will rag their juniors. So that is another thing which was because of which ragging used to take place. If I name another one, there used to be sadistic pleasures which are associated with ragging. So a lot of people wanted to satisfy their sadistic pleasures. They enjoy making people in front of them, look very small, or timid, or absolutely in a disgusted state, right? So those things are certain things which used to make people very happy, and that is one of the reasons that they will say that a lot of my sadistic pleasures were satisfied when I took ragging. So they will always recall that if I wouldn't have taken ragging, then I wouldn't have say being normal, right? So these things used to also be the reason that people will be taking ragging. They will because they are disgusted, they are frustrated, maybe because of certain reasons, and to take out all these things, they will go to a bunch of juniors and rag them till the time they are satisfied, and they will satisfy certain things like sadistic pleasures. So that used to also take place. This sadism or certain things like that is also because of retaliation. So if I put another reason, it is retaliation. Now what is retaliation? Why, if you ask somebody, if you ask a senior student, a sophomore, why you are ragging your juniors? Because I was ragged. That is the answer which they will give, right? That I was ragged, so why I should not rag my juniors? This is one of the biggest reason that students will quote or cite that I am ragging my juniors because I was ragged. So if I was ragged, so why shouldn't I rag? That is the line of reasoning which they will give. And uh, this used to be also one of the big reasons that students will rag their juniors, even if they felt very bad when they themselves got ragged. But then they will say it was the part of culture, and it was required for transformation. It also gives us some kind of authority and this and that. And ultimately, the most important thing is that if I was ragged, nobody stopped. The administration has not stopped. The senior students have not stopped. Nobody stopped. So when I am ragging, you cannot question me. It is my duty. It is my right to rag. So they felt it like it is their right. They also felt it like it is their duty, because this and this you will see, as well as this you will see, that it's part of their duty. They will feel like that it's my duty to rag, it's my duty to transform, it is also my duty to follow the culture, right? So these things became the reason for people ragging their juniors. There are certain other things as well which were reasons for students to rag their juniors. Ragging not only told them because of the you can call it like the opposite sex attraction, but it is also because of certain other things that if you are ragging, if you are showing your authority and this and that, so a lot of people will fall for them, and a lot of things will happen, and they will have certain kind of advantages and so on. And because of that also people used to go and rag, because in their own batch or in their own say field, they were not having the kind of access which they wanted, so they thought that when juniors will come, we will have that access, right? So those kind of things also used to take place, and especially in co-education it used to take place a lot, and because of that also they used to rag. So roughly speaking, these were basically the reasons that people used to rag, or the senior students used to rag other students. There can be certain specific reasons as well. There can be like if you go to not an educational institution, but say a training institute, ragging becomes mandatory, because or else you cannot pass the physical test. Like if you go to Indian Military Academy, if you go to say OTAs and AFAs and NDAs, ragging is a part of culture, and it is said that if you are not ragged, then you cannot clear the physical obstacles. So there are certain specific reasons of ragging as well, because look, there are certain kind of training things which are taking place, so you are going through the training, but then if you are not ragged, if you are not asked completely to follow this all throughout your day, then you do not become physically stronger enough to clear certain hurdles. And that has been the reason. Like I remember there has been cases of students getting what was the word for it, relegated, right? And they used to get relegated for a term, because they could not clear the physical obstacles or physical hurdles or the physical requirements. Why? Because they had a senior who was their brother, who was their cousin, who was their known, and therefore the student was ragged less, and because he was ragged less, he could not manage with a lot of physical obstacles. So there are certain specific reasons as well. There can be specific reasons for certain other institutions as well, but mostly speaking, these were basically the reasons that people are getting ragged, or people used to rag their juniors as well. So this was the part which I wanted to bring to your notice, that why these students were ragged. Now let us come to another interesting and important topic, that we know that there were a lot of things which are against ragging, and ragging has been banned completely in the educational institutions in India. Now, what were the purposes which were served by ragging? uh, because we know all the bad things about ragging, right? You will find a lot of material on internet, on in the books as well, that because of this, and we have also discussed a few of them in these two lectures, that why it was necessary to ban ragging in educational institutions. But let us discuss a few things which is important for us to understand as well, that what was the purpose of ragging. Hmm? The purpose of the ragging was basically also related to the psyche of the ragger. And let us try to understand that what now is being missed by students. They miss a lot of fun, first thing. Okay, so ragging used to be fun. Apart from that, there used to be certain, I will say, harsh cases. Usually, ragging used to be fun, and even the juniors enjoyed it a lot, believe me. But those things are now completely gone. You will not even understand it, because if you belong to this generation where ragging is not taking place, or you only know the horrors of ragging, so you may not understand that there was a lot of fun which was also associated with ragging, and it used to be pleasurable as well. People used to enjoy ragging as well. It was also a part of culture, because the anthems, the stories, the whole folklore of one, say, batch or one university or one college used to be transferred to their juniors, and they used to also know about these things. Now there is no interaction, right? So because of no interaction, you will find that this culture is missing. Now educational institutions and their students do not have culture of their own, or the culture is not something which is a student's culture. It may be a university culture, but the student culture is not there. The lingua, or the language which they used, is something which is missing, right? The lingos which were used by students are missing, because one batch is not interacting with another batch, so, or is not completely in touch with another batch, so all these things are missing. There was some kind of sympathetic paternalism between the senior and the junior. So even if the senior used to rag their juniors, but the senior will always pay for their juniors. The senior will always tell them a lot of things. Like if you see, uh, you can call it fun, you can call it culture, you can also call it, like, there used to be transformation, right? Because a junior, when he used to come to the educational institution, uh, he was a kid. He or she used to be a kid. But after the first year, he used to be ready for the real world. And why I'm saying that this transformation is not taking place, because I know a lot of students who, after passing out from good colleges and universities, went for job, because they also got placed, but they could not take the pressure of the job. Ragging used to give that practice to people, and they used to understand that what the real world will be, because the real world will not be very smooth on you, or very soft on you, right? They will be very harsh. They mean business. If they are paying you, they need work, and you need to take the pressure. You need to take the so-called atrocities, right? And you have to pass through that mental pressure and do certain works. You also may have to work on weekends. You have to also, because the job needs to be done, right? So all these things students may not be able to take, and there have been a lot of cases. However, in our generations, it used to happen a little bit less. But right now it is happening more, that students, after passing out, are not ready to continue with their first job. They take some break, they learn certain things, and after that they go for other thing. So this dropout in the job is happening. So that transformation is not taking, right? Because once you graduate, you do not graduate only with a degree. You also graduate from, say, one level to another level, where you are ready for a lot of responsibility taking, right? So that thing is something which is missing, right? So those things are also taking place. Then it's a part of culture that the first hand experience, why I'm saying, because your senior is the best person who can tell you about how to apply for an internship, how to apply for a training, how to go for some job or certain things. Look, the teachers, the elder say group will tell you certain things from experience, and that may be a little bit outdated. On the other hand, the senior, who is just a senior of yours, suppose a senior managed to go for a foreign internship, then the route used to open for all the juniors to come, because everybody who wants to know that how to go for a foreign internship will contact that senior or the connected people, right? So they used to know, rather than you have to start from the scratch, you can just follow the trail. Similarly, how to manage a training, say in a PSU, right, or in a bigger institution. How to go for higher studies, say after your graduation, right? Or how to crack an examination, like these seniors used to tell you that, okay, this teacher is teaching you this course, okay, he sets the question paper in this fashion, okay, that course you need to be very very clear about this thing, you have to follow this, you have to follow that, and so on. Okay, that thing you can manage it like this, because these things were known by your seniors, right? But once this break is there, like there is a batch of 2019 and there is a batch of 2020, and there is no interaction between these two people, then whatever they have is gone with them. This is not transferred here. This used to take place, or this is still taking place, right? And now, like if you ask me, I may not call my teachers sir or ma'am, may not. But I will always call my seniors sir or ma'am, because that bonding or that relationship still exists, right? However, nowadays you do not have a relationship, right? This inter-batch connection and inter-batch relationship is not there. You may be knowing about your batches, about your class, but you do not have interaction with your seniors. You may also not have interaction with your juniors if you are a senior student, and neither the fresher nor the farewell takes place, right? Many a times, because there is some inter-batch, say, animosity or certain kind of issues, because of which the relationship is breaking or has broken completely. So these things also were the purpose of ragging, and because of ragging, what used to happen is that there used to be a lifelong relationship with your seniors. So that used to be maintained, and that is still maintained. Like in our batches, we maintain a relationship with our seniors, we maintain also a relationship with our juniors in that way only. Our juniors, whenever they will meet, irrespective of the fact that I passed out from my college, say 21, 22 years back, still, if my junior meets me, he will always call me sir, right? And if I meet my senior, I will call him sir, and he will only pay for my bill, right? So all these things used to take place, but that is not something which is the case right now. So irrespective of the fact that it became an imperative that ragging needs to be banned in the education institutions, but it also served certain purposes, right? So that is also something which you need to understand, and I'm not saying that you need to go back to the era of ragging, but there is a need to go back to the parts which are discussed here, because you need to have a lot of fun in your life, or else studies become very boring and very difficult. Similarly, there has to be a culture of every educational institution, uh, and you need to transform, graduate, right? And you need to be connected with your seniors in order to understand the trail and how to follow certain things, because those people who have first-hand experiences are the best people to tell you how to manage certain things, which may not be possible by people who are actually guiding you, right? So there are ways of learning, and some part of the learning is missing because of ragging. Thank you.